Have you ever felt like you are living a lie, trapped between two worlds? Subscribe to uncover the shocking family secrets and journeys to self-discovery that prove you're not alone in your hidden identity. Amara's breath caught in her throat as the grainy footage flickered to life on the old television screen. Two little girls, no more than 4 years old, laughed and splashed in the shallow waves of a pristine beach. One child was clearly Korean, her straight black hair whipping in the ocean breeze. The other was unmistakably Black Korean, her tight curls catching the sunlight as she ran across the sand. Both wore identical jade butterfly necklaces that glinted against their small chests. Amara's hand flew to her own neck, fingers closing around the jade butterfly she'd worn every day since she could remember. Her adoptive mother had always told her it was a gift from her biological parents before they died. But this video was dated 1999, the exact year she was born. The camera panned, and a woman's voice, warm and melodic, called out in Korean, "Amaria. Jiwon-ah. Come here, my beautiful daughters." The tape abruptly cut to static. If you feel this story, please like, share, and subscribe right now. Amara stumbled backward, her hip colliding with the desk behind her. The crash echoed through the empty archive room, but she barely noticed. Her heart hammered against her ribs as she rewound the tape, watched it again, then again. That woman had called her name. Her name. And she'd called both girls her daughters. She grabbed her phone with shaking hands and paused the video on the clearest frame of the two children. She'd never seen a photograph of herself before age 5, when Dr. Park Seo-yeon had adopted her from the orphanage. Her mother always said the orphanage had no records, no photos, nothing from before. But this video proved otherwise. The archive room door suddenly burst open, and Amara nearly dropped her phone. A tall man in an expensive charcoal suit strode in, his sharp features twisted in urgency. His dark eyes swept the room before landing on her with an intensity that made her step back. "You need to give me that tape," he said in Korean, his voice low and commanding. "Right now." Amara's hand instinctively moved to eject the VHS. "Who are you? This is a restricted area." "Jin Tae-hyun." He pulled out a business card, but his eyes never left the television screen behind her. "I'm a journalist with the Seoul Tribune, and that tape belongs to my family's private collection. It was sold illegally." "Your family?" Amara's mind raced. She shifted her body to block his view of the screen. "This came from the Dahan Group estate sale. Everything was legally acquired by the museum." Something flickered across Tae-hyun's face, recognition, perhaps, or surprise. His gaze dropped to her necklace, and his expression hardened. "Where did you get that?" Amara's fingers closed protectively around the jade butterfly. "That's none of your business." He took a step closer, and she caught the scent of expensive cologne mixed with something else, desperation. "That necklace belonged to my family. There were only 2 ever made, commissioned by my grandmother 25 years ago. My cousin Ji-won wears one. And the other." He paused, his jaw clenching. "The other was lost when my aunt and her daughter disappeared." The room seemed to tilt. Amara gripped the edge of the desk to steady herself. "Disappeared? 23 years ago. My aunt Jin Hye-jin and her 4-year-old daughter vanished from our Jeju Island estate. The official story was a boating accident, but no bodies were ever found." Tae-hyun's eyes bored into hers. "Now tell me, where did you get that necklace?" Amara's throat went dry. 23 years ago. She is 24 now. The math aligned too perfectly, too terribly. "I've had it since I was a child. My mother said it was from my biological parents." "Your biological parents?" Tae-hyun's voice rose slightly. He moved closer, studying her face with an intensity that made her skin prickle. "What's your full name?" "Amara Okonkwo. I was adopted by Dr. Park Seo-yeon when I was 5, from an orphanage in Busan. They told her I was abandoned, that there were no records." "Let me see the tape." "No." Amara positioned herself more firmly in front of the television. Every instinct screamed that this video was important, that it held answers to questions she'd been too afraid to ask her entire life. "Not until you tell me why you're really here. How did you even know about this tape?" Tae-hyun ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair, disturbing it for the first time. "I've been tracking down everything from that estate sale for 3 months. My father, Chairman Jin Myung-soo of Dahan Group, he's been destroying evidence. Documents, photos, anything connected to my aunt's disappearance. When I heard a private video collection had been sold to the museum, I knew I had to get here before he did." "Why would he destroy evidence about his own sister?" "Because my aunt didn't disappear in an accident." Tae-hyun's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. "She ran away. She was in love with a Nigerian businessman my grandfather forbade her to marry. When she got pregnant, the family tried to force her to give up the baby. Instead, she vanished with her daughter and her lover. My family has been covering it up ever since." The words hit Amara like a physical blow. A Nigerian businessman. A black Korean daughter. A jade butterfly necklace. Her voice came out as a whisper. "What was the daughter's name?" Tae-hyun's eyes locked with hers, and she saw the moment he truly looked at her not just her face, but the curve of her nose, the shade of her skin, the texture of her hair. His expression shifted from urgency to something else entirely. Shock. Recognition. Fear. "Amara," he breathed. Her name was Amara Jin. The silence that followed was deafening. Amara couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The archive room suddenly felt too small, the walls pressing in. She turned back to the television screen, to the frozen image of 2 little girls laughing on a beach, and saw it clearly now, the resemblance between that child and her own childhood reflection. "Have you ever felt like you're living a lie, trapped between 2 worlds? Subscribe to uncover the shocking family secrets and journeys to self-discovery that prove you're not alone in your hidden identity." "That's impossible," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. "I'm not, I can't be." "Play the rest of the tape." Amara's fingers fumbled with the remote. The video resumed, showing the 2 girls building sand castles while the unseen woman laughed. Then the camera turned, revealing the woman's face for just a moment, beautiful, Korean, with kind eyes and a bright smile. She wore a jade butterfly necklace identical to Amara's. "That's my aunt," Tae-hyun confirmed, his voice rough. "Jin Hai-jin." The video continued. A man entered the frame, tall and dark-skinned, scooping up the black Korean girl and spinning her around while she shrieked with delight. "Papa!" the little girl cried in Korean. "Papa, look what we made." Amara's vision blurred with tears she refused to let fall. She had no memories of her life before the orphanage, nothing but fragments of dreams she'd always dismissed as imagination, the sound of waves, a man's deep laugh, the taste of salt air. "If this is true," she said slowly, each word carefully measured, "if I'm really your cousin, why was I in an orphanage? What happened to my parents?" Tae-hyun's expression darkened. "That's what I've been trying to find out. 3 months ago, I discovered sealed court documents suggesting my grandfather filed kidnapping charges against your father. He claimed your mother was taken against her will. But the case disappeared, erased from every official record. And my father, the man in the video? I don't know. I've found no trace of him since 1999. Tae-hyun pulled out his phone, swiping through photos before turning the screen toward her. But I found this in my grandmother's private safe last week. The photograph showed 3 people, Jin Hai-jin, a handsome Nigerian man, and a little girl sitting between them. All 3 wore jade butterfly necklaces. On the back, in elegant handwriting, were the words, "Our little butterfly will fly free. We promise." 1999. Amara's knees went weak. Tae-hyun caught her elbow, steadying her, and the touch sent an unexpected jolt through her. She pulled away, needing space, needing air, needing this to not be real. "I need to make a copy of this tape," she said, forcing her voice to remain steady. "For my records." "Amara. Don't call me that. Not that name. Not yet." She ejected the VHS and held it against her chest. "I need time to process this. To verify everything you've told me." "There's no time." Tae-hyun stepped closer, and she noticed for the first time the dark circles under his eyes, the tension in his shoulders. "My father knows I've been investigating. If he finds out about this tape, about you, he'll make both disappear. The Jin family has too much power, too much to lose if the truth comes out." "What truth? That his sister ran away? That's hardly. That's not the whole truth." Tae-hyun's jaw clenched. "My aunt wasn't just running away from an arranged marriage. She was the legitimate heir to the Han Group. My father only inherited because she was declared legally dead 7 years after her disappearance. If she's alive, or if her daughter, if you can prove your identity, it invalidates his entire claim to the company." The words hung in the air between them, heavy with implication. Amara's mind reeled with the enormity of it. She wasn't just discovering her identity, she was potentially threatening one of South Korea's most powerful business empires. "How much is the company worth?" she asked quietly. 200 billion won. About $150 million US. Amara laughed, a slightly hysterical sound. "And you expect me to believe you're helping me out of the goodness of your heart? If I'm the legitimate heir, that means you lose everything too." Something flickered in Tae-hyun's eyes, respect, maybe, or appreciation for her suspicion. "I'm a journalist, not a businessman. I never wanted the company. My younger brother Taemin can have it for all I care. But I've spent my entire career exposing corruption and seeking truth. I won't let my family's crimes stay buried, even if it costs me everything." He took another step toward her, close enough now that she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. His presence was overwhelming, magnetic in a way that made her pulse quicken despite everything. "Besides," he added, his voice dropping lower, "I've been searching for my cousin Amara my entire life. My grandmother, she raised me after my mother died. She never believed Aunt Hyjin was dead. She used to tell me stories about my cousin, about how we played together as babies before she disappeared. I made her a promise that I'd find the truth. I won't break that promise." Amara wanted to believe him, wanted to trust the intensity in his eyes and the conviction in his voice. But she'd learned long ago that trust was a luxury she couldn't afford. If you're enjoying this story, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. And leave a comment telling me where you're watching from. "I need to go home," she said, moving toward the door. "I need to talk to my mother, Dr. Park. She might have documents from the adoption, something that could verify." Tae-hyun grabbed her wrist, gentle but firm. "Don't tell her. Not yet. She's my mother. I can't." "Amara, think about it. How does a prominent archaeologist adopt a child with no documentation, no records, no history? How does that even happen legally?" His thumb brushed against her pulse point, whether intentionally or not, she couldn't tell. What if she knows more than she's told you? What if she's been protecting you, or worse, what if she's been part of the cover-up? The suggestion felt like betrayal, but Amara couldn't deny its logic. Dr. Park had always been loving, supportive, everything a mother should be. But there had always been moments of evasion when Amara asked about her adoption, subtle redirections that she'd been too young to question. "Then what do you suggest I do?" she asked, hating how lost she sounded. "Come with me. Now. I have a safe place where we can review everything I've found: documents, photos, financial records. We can figure out our next move together." He released her wrist but didn't step back. "Please. I know you have no reason to trust me, but I'm asking you to take a leap of faith. For both of us." Amara studied his face, searching for deception and finding only earnestness. It was probably a mistake. Everything about this situation screamed danger and complication. But the tape in her hands, the necklace around her neck, the face of that little girl on the beach, they all demanded answers. "Fine," she said. "But I'm keeping the tape." Relief washed over Tae-hyun's features. "Agreed. My car is outside." They left the archive room together, Amara clutching the VHS tape like a lifeline. The museum was dark and empty at this hour, their footsteps echoing through the marble corridors. Tae-hyun led her to a sleek black Genesis sedan parked in the restricted loading zone. "Of course you park illegally," Amara muttered, sliding into the passenger seat. "Investigative journalism doesn't wait for parking permits." There was a hint of humor in his voice, the first crack in his intense demeanor. They drove through Seoul's empty streets, the city's neon lights painting everything in shades of blue and pink. Amara watched the familiar neighborhoods slide past, feeling like she was leaving behind the life she'd known. In a way, she supposed she was. "Where are we going?" she asked. "A hotel in Gangnam. I've been staying there since my father kicked me out of the family estate 3 weeks ago. He found out I was investigating Aunt Hyejin's disappearance." Tae-hyun's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "We had a fight. He said some things about my aunt, about her shameful choices, and I..." He trailed off, jaw clenching. "You hit him?" Amara guessed. "Worse. I told him I'd expose everything he's done if he didn't tell me the truth. He responded by freezing my trust fund and having security remove me from the property." A bitter smile crossed his face. "Turns out principles are expensive." Despite everything, Amara felt a surge of sympathy. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. It was worth it." "And finding you," he glanced at her, something unreadable in his expression. "That makes it all worth it." The weight of his words settled between them, heavy with implication. Amara turned away, focusing on the city lights, trying to ignore the way her heart had skipped at his tone. They arrived at the hotel 20 minutes later, a luxury establishment that probably cost more per night than Amara made in a week. Tae-hyun led her through the lobby to the elevator, his hand hovering near the small of her back without quite touching. The gesture felt protective, intimate in a way that shouldn't have affected her but did. His room was a suite on the 32nd floor, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the glittering cityscape. But Amara barely noticed the view. The desk was covered in papers, photographs, and documents. A whiteboard stood against one wall, covered in notes and connecting lines like something from a crime drama. "Welcome to my investigation headquarters," Tae-hyun said, shrugging off his suit jacket and rolling up his sleeves. "Coffee? This might take a while." "Please." While he busied himself with the coffee machine, Amara moved to the desk, drawn by the photographs scattered across its surface. She recognized Jin Hyejin in several, always with the same Nigerian man, always looking radiantly happy. There were photos of a young Taehyun too, maybe 8 or 9 years old, playing with a little girl who must have been Ji-won. One photo made her stop. It showed 2 babies, both around 6 months old, lying on a blanket together. One baby was clearly Taehyun, she could see it in his distinctive features even at that age. The other baby had light brown skin and a head full of dark curls. "That's us," Taehyun said softly, appearing at her shoulder with 2 steaming cups. "We were born the same year, just 3 months apart. My grandmother said we were inseparable." Before he stopped, the unspoken words hanging heavy in the air. "Before you disappeared." Amara took the coffee, needing something to do with her hands. "Tell me everything. Start from the beginning." They settled onto the couch, and Taehyun began to lay out his findings. He'd discovered that Jin Hyejin had met Chibuzo Okonkwo at an international business conference in Lagos. Despite her family's objections, they conducted a secret relationship for 2 years before she became pregnant. When her father, Chairman Jin Seung-ho, found out, he'd threatened to disown her unless she terminated the pregnancy and married the business partner he'd chosen. Instead, she'd run. Chibuzo had helped her hide, moving between safe houses across Asia. They'd had their daughter, gotten secretly married, and lived in peaceful anonymity for 4 years on Jeju Island under assumed names. Then something happened, Taehyun continued, pulling out a police report. This is from July 15, 1999. Neighbors reported a disturbance at the Jeju Island house, shouting, the sound of breaking glass. When police arrived, the house was empty. Furniture was overturned, there were signs of a struggle, but no bodies, no blood. Just gone. And my parents, what happened to them? I don't know about your father. But your mother. He pulled out another document, and Amara saw it was a death certificate. She was officially declared dead in 2006, 7 years after her disappearance. But I found something interesting in the coroner's records. 17 other death certificates were issued that same day, all for people who'd been missing for exactly 7 years. It's a legal formality declaring someone dead after 7 years of absence. But the timing, the efficiency of it. He shook his head. My father made sure she was legally dead the moment it became possible. So he could inherit the company. Exactly. And if anyone questioned it, the official story was ready: tragic boating accident, swept out to sea, no bodies recovered. My grandfather played the grieving father perfectly. Bitterness laced Taehyun's words. Meanwhile, a 4-year-old girl ended up in an orphanage with no identity, no records, no connection to her family. Amara set down her coffee cup with shaking hands. Someone deliberately erased me. Separated me from my parents and made sure I couldn't be traced back to the Jin family. Yes. And I think I know who. Taehyun pulled up a photo on his phone, a severe-looking older man in an expensive suit. Chief Choi Dong-min. He's been the Jin family lawyer for 40 years, handles all the delicate situations. I've been trying to get him to talk, but he's loyal to my father above everything. Have you considered that maybe he won't talk because there's nothing to tell? Maybe your aunt really did die in an accident. Even as Amara said it, she didn't believe it. Then explain how you ended up in an orphanage in Busan. Explain the timing, the house disturbance, your mother's disappearance, and a mystery child appearing in the system all within the same week. Taehyun leaned forward, his intensity filling the space between them. Someone took you, Amara. Someone separated you from your parents and tried to erase your existence. And I think my family paid them to do it. The accusation hung in the air, terrible and undeniable. Amara stood abruptly, pacing to the window. Seoul sprawled below her, millions of lights representing millions of lives, all of them simpler than hers had suddenly become. "Why now?" she asked without turning around. "Why did you start investigating 3 months ago? What changed?" Silence. "Then, my grandmother died." Amara turned. Taehyun was staring at his hands, his expression raw with grief. "She made me promise, at the end. She'd been asking my father about Aunt Hyjin for years, begging him to keep searching, but he always refused. When she knew she was dying, she made me swear I'd find the truth. She gave me her private files, letters from my aunt, photos, that picture with the jade butterfly necklace. She said, 'Find my granddaughter. Tell her I never stopped loving her. Tell her I'm sorry.'" His voice broke slightly on the last word, and Amara found herself moving back to the couch, sitting closer than before. Without thinking, she reached for his hand. His fingers immediately intertwined with hers, warm and solid. "I'm sorry about your grandmother," she said softly. "She would have loved you." Taehyun looked at their joined hands, then up at her face. "She had your picture, the one from the beach, in a locket she wore every day. She never gave up hope." Tears finally spilled down Amara's cheeks. She'd spent her whole life feeling like she didn't quite belong anywhere, not fully Korean, not fully Nigerian, adopted, but always wondering about her birth family. And now she was learning that someone had loved her, had searched for her, had never forgotten her. "I don't know what to do with any of this," she whispered. "We don't have to figure it all out tonight." Taehyun reached up with his free hand, gently wiping away her tears with his thumb. The gesture was tender, intimate, and Amara's breath caught. "We can take it one step at a time. Together." His face was so close now, his dark eyes holding hers with an intensity that made her heart race. She knew she should pull away, maintain professional distance, but she couldn't seem to make herself move. The day's revelations had cracked something open inside her, left her feeling vulnerable and raw and desperately in need of connection. "Taehyun," she breathed, and it was both a warning and an invitation. He seemed to understand both meanings. His hand slid from her cheek to cup the back of her neck, fingers threading through her hair. "Tell me to stop," he murmured, his lips hovering just inches from hers. She should. This was complicated, dangerous, probably a terrible idea. They were cousins, second cousins, technically, if the family connection was real. But more than that, they barely knew each other. Everything about this situation demanded caution. But Amara had spent her entire life being cautious, being careful, never quite allowing herself to feel too much or want too much. And right now, with her whole world turned upside down, she wanted this. "I wanted him. I wanted to feel something real and immediate and uncomplicated by everything else." Instead of answering, she closed the distance between them. The kiss started gentle, tentative, a question neither of them had quite asked. But then Taehyun's arm wrapped around her waist, pulling her closer, and Amara's hands found their way to his chest, feeling the rapid beating of his heart beneath her palms. The kiss deepened, becoming more urgent, more desperate, as if they were both seeking something they'd lost without knowing it was missing. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Taehyun rested his forehead against hers. "I shouldn't have done that," he said, but his arms didn't release her. "We shouldn't have done that," Amara corrected, but she didn't pull away either. "This complicates everything." "I know." They sat in silence for a long moment, neither willing to move, neither ready to address what had just happened. Finally, Taehyun pulled back slightly, his hand moving to cup her face. "I need to tell you something," he said, and the guilt in his voice made Amara's stomach drop. "Something I should have told you before we His phone buzzed loudly, shattering the moment. Tae Hyun glanced at the screen and went pale. It's Chief Choi. He says he'll talk, but only tonight. Only now. Amara's mind reeled from the emotional whiplash. Why now? I don't know. But if he's finally willing to tell the truth. Tae Hyun stood, already reaching for his jacket. We have to go. This might be our only chance. Wait. Amara grabbed his arm. What were you about to tell me? Something flickered across his face, fear, perhaps, or regret. Later. I promise. Afterwards, we talked to Chief Choi. Every instinct told her to demand answers now, to not let this moment pass. But the urgency in Tae Hyun's expression, the opportunity to finally learn the truth about her past, overrode her hesitation. Fine. But you will tell me. Whatever it is. I will. I promise. He squeezed her hand once, then released it. Let's go. If you feel this story, please like, share, and subscribe right now. They drove in tense silence to a traditional Hanok house in Bukchon, one of Seoul's historic neighborhoods. The house was dark except for a single lamp burning in the front room. Chief Choi was waiting at the door, older than in the photo, his face heavily lined, but his eyes still sharp and assessing. Jin Tae Hyun, he said formally, then his gaze shifted to Amara. His expression flickered with something that might have been shock or recognition. And you brought her? I wondered if you would. You know who I am, Amara said. It wasn't a question. I've always known who you are, Amara Jin. Or should I say, Amara Okonkwo. He stepped aside, gesturing them in. Come inside. What I have to tell you will take some time, and we don't want to be overheard. The interior of the house was traditional Korean, all clean lines and natural wood. Chief Choi led them to a sitting room and poured tea with steady hands. Amara noticed legal files stacked on the low table, some marked with dates from 1999. Why now? Tae Hyun demanded without a preamble. You've refused to talk for months. Why agree to meet tonight? Because your father knows you found the videotape. He's planning to have you arrested tomorrow morning on fabricated fraud charges. You have perhaps 12 hours before he moves against you. Chief Choi's expression was grave. And because I am an old man with a guilty conscience. I have done many questionable things in service to the Jin family, but what we did to this girl. He looked at Amara with something like sorrow. That is the one thing I cannot take to my grave. Amara's hands clenched around her teacup. What did you do? I helped kidnap you from your parents. The words landed like a bomb. Tae Hyun surged to his feet, but Chief Choi raised a hand. Sit down and listen. You wanted the truth, here it is. He pulled out one of the files and opened it, revealing photographs that made Amara's vision swim. Her parents, beaten and bloodied. A small child, her crying in the back of a car. In July 1999, Chairman Jin Seung-ho hired private security to retrieve his granddaughter from what he considered an inappropriate situation. I handled the legal arrangements. You mean you helped him kidnap a child from her parents? Tae Hyun said coldly. We told ourselves we were rescuing her from an unstable situation. Your grandfather believed your aunt was being controlled by Chibuzo Okonkwo, that she needed to be saved. Chief Choi's voice was heavy with regret. We were wrong. We were terribly wrong. What happened to my parents? Amara's voice came out as barely a whisper. After you took me. Your father fought back. There was a struggle at the house on Jeju Island. He was injured. Badly. We couldn't risk him going to the police with what we'd done, so your grandfather's security team took him to a private medical facility. Where is he now? Amara demanded. Is he alive? Chief Choi's hesitation told her everything before he spoke. I don't know. The facility had no official records. After your mother was declared dead, I tried to follow up, to make sure your father received his settlement payment, but he'd vanished. Either he recovered and ran, or he didn't finish the sentence. And my mother Jin Tae-hyun's voice was strained. What really happened to her? She came after her daughter. Of course she did. What mother wouldn't? Chief Choi pulled out another photograph, and Amara gasped. It showed her mother standing outside a large gate, rain-soaked and desperate, holding a sign that read "Return my daughter" in Korean. She camped outside the Jin estate for 3 days, demanding to see Amara. Your grandfather refused to even acknowledge her. Then on the 4th day, she was gone. Gone where? Amara's voice rose. You said she was dead, that there was a death certificate. There is a death certificate. But I never saw a body. No one did. Chief Choi looked between them, his expression grim. Your grandfather told me she'd given up, gone back to Nigeria to be with her husband's family. But 3 months later, he had me file the paperwork to begin the 7-year death declaration process. Why do that if she'd simply left? The implication hung heavy in the air. Tae-hyun's face had gone white. You think my grandfather killed her? I think your grandfather is capable of many things to protect his legacy and his company. Do I have proof? No. But I have suspicions that have haunted me for 23 years. Amara couldn't breathe. Her mother, camping outside the estate in the rain, begging for her daughter. Her father, beaten and taken to some secret facility. Both of them erased from existence while she was placed in an orphanage, stripped of her identity, given up for adoption as if she'd never had a family at all. Why an orphanage? She was forced out. If you took me, why not keep me with the Jin family? Because you were evidence, Chief Choi said bluntly. A black Korean child claiming to be Jin Hyejin's daughter would have raised too many questions. Your grandfather wanted you safe. He's not a complete monster, despite everything but invisible. Dr. Park Seo-yeon was specifically chosen to adopt you. She was told you were the orphaned child of Korean diplomatic staff, given a story that explained your mixed heritage without connecting you to the Jin family. Does she know the truth? Amara asked. My adoptive mother, does she know who I really am? Chief Choi's expression softened slightly. No. She was as deceived as you were. Your grandfather made sure every document was perfect, every story airtight. Dr. Park believes she saved an abandoned child. She has no idea she was part of a cover-up. Relief and anger warred in Amara's chest. At least her mother Dr. Park hadn't betrayed her. But everyone else, the entire Jin family, they'd all been complicit in stealing her life. I want to see him, Amara said suddenly, standing. Chairman Jin. Your grandfather. I want to confront him. Amara, that's not Tae-hyun began. He took everything from me. My parents, my identity, my childhood. The least he can do is look me in the eye and admit what he did. Her voice shook with fury. I want to see the man who destroyed my family. He'll deny everything, Chief Choi warned. And he's a powerful man. Without concrete proof. I have the videotape. I have the necklace. I have you, willing to testify to what happened. Amara turned to Tae-hyun. Will you take me to him? Tae-hyun studied her face, and she saw the conflict, their concern for her safety warring with understanding of her need for confrontation. Finally, he nodded. Tomorrow morning. Before he can have me arrested. We'll go together. Tonight, Amara insisted. Now. Before I lose my nerve. Amara. Please. She grabbed his hand, squeezing hard. I need to know. I need to hear it from him. And if we wait, if we give him time to prepare, he'll have lawyers and security and we'll never get a straight answer. Tae-hyun exchanged a look with Chief Choi, who gave a resigned nod. She's right. Strike now, while he's unprepared. I'll call ahead, tell him there's an urgent legal matter that requires immediate attention. It's 3 in the morning, he'll be off balance. Thank you, Amara said quietly. For finally telling the truth. Chief Choi stood, gathering the files. These are copies of everything I have: medical records, financial transactions, photographs. If something happens to me, if Chairman Jin decides I've become a liability, use these. Expose everything. Promise me. I promise, Tae-hyun said solemnly. They left the Hanok house with the files secured in Tae-hyun's briefcase. The drive to the Jin family estate in Pyeongchang-dong took 40 minutes, 40 minutes of tense silence broken only by the sound of Seoul's sparse late-night traffic. Amara stared out the window, watching her reflection in the glass, seeing her mother's face superimposed over her own. The Jin estate was massive, a modern architectural masterpiece of glass and stone set behind high walls and a security gate. Chief Choi's call had apparently worked. The guards waved them through after checking IDs. Amara. Tae-hyun caught her hand before she could exit the car. Whatever happens in there, whatever he says, remember that you're not alone. I'm with you. Okay. She nodded, grateful for his support even as her mind raced with everything he still hadn't told her. Whatever confession he'd been about to make before Chief Choi's call, it would have to wait. Right now, she had to face the man who'd stolen her life. The front door opened before they could knock. A woman in her 50s stood there, elegant in silk pajamas despite the hour. Her eyes widened when she saw Amara, and her hand flew to her mouth. You look just like her, the woman breathed in Korean. Just like Hai-jin. Aunt Min-ji, Tae-hyun said carefully. I didn't know you were staying here. I live here, Tae-hyun. Just because your father kicked you out doesn't mean the rest of us left. She couldn't stop staring at Amara. Who is she? Why did you bring her? She's the reason we're here. We need to see grandfather. Now. Chairman Jin Seung-ho's voice boomed from deeper in the house. Let them in, Min-ji. I've been expecting this visit for 23 years. They followed Min-ji through the immaculate house to a study lined with books and awards. Chairman Jin sat behind an enormous desk, and despite being woken at 3 in the morning, he was fully dressed in a suit, his silver hair perfectly styled. His face was harder than in the photos, more weathered, but his eyes were sharp and calculating as they fixed on Amara. So, he said in Korean. My granddaughter has finally come home. The casual acknowledgement shocked her. You're not going to deny it. Why would I? You're wearing the necklace. You have your mother's eyes and your father's skin. And Chief Choi has clearly told you everything, or you wouldn't be here. He leaned back in his chair. Sit down. We have much to discuss. I'll stand, thanks. Amara's hands clenched at her sides. I don't want your hospitality. I want answers. Where are my parents? Your mother is dead. Your father, if he's alive, is somewhere. I cannot find him. Believe me, I've tried. Chairman Jin's expression was unreadable. Your mother's death was not my doing, though I understand why you'd think otherwise. She had a heart condition, genetic, that we didn't know about until it was too late. She collapsed outside these gates, refusing to leave until she saw you. By the time the ambulance arrived, she was gone. Liar, Amara spat. You had her killed. You couldn't risk her exposing what you'd done. I have done many reprehensible things in my life, child, but I did not kill my daughter. For the first time, emotion cracked through Chairman Jin's cold exterior, grief, old and deep. I wanted her to leave that man, yes. I wanted her to come home and take her rightful place in this family. But I loved her. When she died, his voice broke slightly. I had her buried in our family plot under her maiden name. You can visit if you wish. I go every week. Taehyun moved closer to Amara, his presence supportive. And Amara's father, what did you do to him? He was injured when he resisted our security team. I had him treated at a private medical facility, made sure he received the best care money could buy. When he recovered, I offered him 50 million won to disappear, to never contact my granddaughter again. Chairman Jin's eyes hardened. He took the money and vanished. I haven't seen or heard from him since. You paid him to abandon me, Amara said, each word like glass. You beat him, threatened him, and then paid him to forget I existed. I gave him a choice. He chose money over his daughter. What does that tell you about the man your mother chose? The cruelty of it took Amara's breath away. You don't get to judge him. You kidnapped me. You destroyed my family. Everything that happened is because of you. Yes, Chairman Jin agreed simply. It is. And I don't regret it. The blunt admission was somehow worse than a denial would have been. Amara stepped forward, her anger barely contained. How dare you! You stole my life, erased my identity, made me grow up thinking I was abandoned. I gave you a better life than you would have had, Chairman Jin interrupted. Dr. Park is a respected scholar, a good woman. She raised you well, gave you education, opportunities. Would you have preferred to grow up in hiding, always running, always looking over your shoulder? I would have preferred to grow up with my parents. Your parents were children playing rebellion. Your mother was 23, your father 25. They had no money, no stability, no plan for the future except their romantic notion of love conquering all. He stood, moving around the desk. I have watched you, Amara. I've made sure you were safe, well cared for, and educated. Every scholarship you received, every opportunity that came your way. Do you think that was a coincidence? The revelation hit her like a physical blow. You've been controlling my life this entire time. I've been protecting you. There are people in our world who would have used you against me if they'd known who you were. Keeping you hidden kept you safe. He stepped closer, and Amara saw where Taehyun had inherited his intensity. Now you're here, and you want something. What is it? Money, recognition, your place in the family? I want justice. I want you to admit publicly what you did. I want my father found if he's still alive. And I want you to stop pretending you did this for me. You did it for yourself, for your company, for your legacy. Amara's voice rose. You're a criminal and a liar, and I'm going to make sure everyone knows it. Chairman Jin's expression didn't change. No, you won't. Try to stop me. I don't need to stop you. You'll stop yourself. He moved back to his desk, pulling out a file. Because exposing me means exposing everything. It means the world knows that Jin Hai-jin, the beloved daughter of Dahan Group, abandoned her family for a foreign man. It means admitting that you are the illegitimate child of that union, a child who was taken from her parents in a way that, legally speaking, could be interpreted many ways. It means your adoptive mother losing her career when people discover she unknowingly participated in covering up a kidnapping. He spread photographs on the desk. Dr. Park at professional conferences, receiving awards, teaching classes. Park Seo-yeon has built her entire reputation on integrity and ethics. How do you think the academic community will react when they learn she adopted a stolen child? Even if she didn't know, the scandal will destroy her. You wouldn't, Amara whispered. I wouldn't have to do anything. The truth itself will destroy her. Is your need for justice worth your mother's career, her reputation, her life's work? Chairman Jin's eyes bored into hers. Because that's what you'll take from her if you expose this. Everything she's built, gone, all for the sake of punishing an old man who did what he thought was right. Amara felt Tae-hyun's hand on her shoulder, grounding her. She wanted to scream, to overturn the desk, to make this man feel even a fraction of the pain he'd caused. But he was right, and they both knew it. Exposing him would hurt Dr. Park, the one person who'd loved her unconditionally. There has to be another way, Tae-hyun said. Some way to get justice without destroying innocent people. There isn't. Chairman Jin settled back into his chair. But I'm not unreasonable. Amara, you are my granddaughter, whether I approve of your parentage or not. That makes you family. And the family takes care of each other. I don't want anything from you. Perhaps not now. But you will. He pulled out a document and pushed it across the desk. This is a trust fund in your name, established the day you were born. It contains 50 billion won, about $37 million US. It's yours, no strings attached. Additionally, I'm prepared to acknowledge you publicly as my granddaughter, which comes with its own benefits and protections. In exchange for what? Amara asked bitterly. My silence. In exchange for peace. You keep the past buried, I give you a future. You get money, status, protection. Dr. Park's reputation remains intact. Everyone wins. Except for my parents. Except for the truth. The truth is a luxury, child. I learned that long ago. Chairman Jin's expression was almost sympathetic. You can spend your life fighting battles you can't win, destroying people you love in pursuit of justice that won't bring anyone back. Or you can accept my offer and build something new. Amara looked at the document, at the staggering sum of money, at the promise of belonging to one of Korea's most powerful families. It would be so easy to take it, to let the past stay buried, to finally have answers and security and a place in the world. But she would always know. She would always carry the weight of her parents' sacrifice, her mother's death outside these gates, her father's disappearance. Money couldn't buy peace from that knowledge. I need time, she said finally. To think. You have until tomorrow evening. After that, I'll assume you've chosen the alternative path, and I'll take necessary steps to protect the family. The threat was clear. Choose wisely, Amara. You only get one chance at this. They left the estate in stunned silence. The sky was beginning to lighten with the approaching dawn as Tae-hyun drove them back toward his hotel. Amara stared out the window, her mind racing with impossible choices. I'm sorry, Tae-hyun said finally. I should have prepared you better for how manipulative he can be. It's not your fault. Amara's voice sounded hollow even to herself. He's right, isn't he? If I expose him, I hurt my mom. If I take his money, I will betray my parents. There's no good choice, there's always a choice. Tae-hyun pulled the car over suddenly, parking along the Han River where early morning joggers were beginning their runs. He turned to face her fully. Amara, there's something I need to tell you. Something I should have said hours ago. The guilt in his expression made her stomach drop. What is it? I knew. The words came out rushed, like he'd been holding them back too long. Not about you specifically, but I knew my grandfather had my aunt's daughter placed in an adoption system. I found evidence of it 2 months ago, financial records showing payments to Dr. Park's adoption agency, specifically for a child matching your description. Amara's breath stopped. You knew before tonight, before you came to the museum? I suspected. When I saw the inventory for the estate sale and noticed it included a videotape from Jeju Island, I knew you might surface. The museum archivist who would handle those tapes, I looked up the staff list and saw your name. Amara Okonkwo, adopted at age 5 by Dr. Park Seo-yeon. It was too much of a coincidence. So everything tonight coming to the museum, the urgency, She gestured vaguely at the space between them, unable to say kiss. Was that all a manipulation? You were testing me? No. God, no. I came to the museum to get the tape before my father could destroy it, yes. But I didn't expect. He reached for her hand, but she pulled away. When I saw you, when I saw the necklace, everything I thought I knew. I wasn't manipulating you, Amara. My feelings, what happened between us, that was real. How can I believe anything you say? Tears burned her eyes. You've been lying to me from the start. This whole night, you let me think we were discovering this together, that we were in this as equals, but you knew. You've known all along and you didn't tell me. I was going to tell you. Before we kissed, I was about to explain everything, but then Chief Choi called and you decided the truth could wait. Amara's voice rose. That's the same logic your grandfather uses. The same justification for keeping me in the dark my entire life. I'll tell her when the time is right. I'll protect her by hiding the truth. I'm so sick of men deciding what I get to know about my own life. You're right. You're absolutely right, and I'm sorry. Tae-hyun's voice cracked. I was going to tell you tonight, I swear. I didn't want to manipulate you or keep secrets. I wanted you to see the evidence first, to come to your own conclusions without my suspicions influencing you. That wasn't your choice to make. They sat in painful silence, the tension thick between them. Amara felt like everything was crumbling: her identity, her trust, her sense of who she could rely on. Even Tae-hyun, who'd seemed like an ally, had been keeping secrets. I understand if you can't forgive me, Tae-hyun said quietly, but please, don't make your decision about my grandfather's offer based on your anger at me. Whatever you choose, I'll support you. Even if you never want to see me again. Amara closed her eyes, exhausted beyond measure. The sun was fully rising now, painting Seoul in shades of gold. Somewhere in this city, Dr. Park was probably waking up, making coffee, perhaps wondering why Amara hadn't come home. Somewhere, maybe, Amara's father was alive, carrying his own guilt and grief. And here she was, caught between impossible choices, surrounded by people who claimed to care about her while keeping secrets that shaped her entire existence. Take me home, she said finally. To Dr. Park. I need to talk to my real mother. Tae-hyun nodded silently and started the car. The drive took 30 minutes where neither of them spoke. When they pulled up to Dr. Park's modest apartment building, Amara finally looked at him. I don't know what I'm going to do, she admitted. About your grandfather's offer, about exposing the truth, about any of this. Have you ever felt like you're living a lie, trapped between two worlds? Subscribe to uncover the shocking family secrets and journeys to self-discovery that prove you're not alone in your hidden identity. Whatever you choose, it should be your choice. Not his, not mine. Yours. Tae-hyun's eyes were red-rimmed with exhaustion and emotion. For what it's worth, I meant what I said. I have been searching for you my whole life. Actually finding you, that's the most important thing I've ever done. I'm sorry I didn't handle it better. Amara wanted to stay angry, to hold on to her righteous fury. But she was too tired, too overwhelmed. I'll call you, she said. When I've decided. If I decide to forgive you. That's more than I deserve. He reached into the back seat and pulled out the briefcase with Chief Choi's files. Take these. They're yours anyway. Your history, your evidence. Whatever you do with them should be your decision. She took the briefcase, feeling the weight of 23 years of secrets. Then, impulsively, she leaned across and kissed his cheek. Thank you. For finding me. Even if you should have told me sooner. Before he could respond, she got out of the car and walked toward the apartment building, not looking back. She heard his car pull away as she climbed the stairs to the third floor. Dr. Park opened the door on the first knock, still in her robe, her face creased with worry. Amara. Where have you been? I've been calling all night. She stopped, taking in Amara's appearance, the briefcase, the jade butterfly necklace catching the morning light. What happened? Mom, Amara said, and her voice broke on the word. We need to talk. About where I really came from. About who I really am. Drive. Park's face went pale, and Amara saw knowledge flash across her features. Not full knowledge, perhaps, but enough to know this conversation had been coming for 24 years. Come inside, Dr. Park said quietly, stepping back. I'll make tea. And then I'll tell you everything I know. As Amara crossed the threshold into the apartment where she'd grown up, she knew that whatever came next, whatever choice she made about Chairman Jin's offer, whatever truth Dr. Park revealed, whatever happened with Taehyun, her life would never be the same. The little girl on the beach in that videotape, laughing in the surf with her jade butterfly necklace, was gone forever. But maybe, just maybe, Amara could find a way to honor her memory while building something new from the wreckage of the past. She just had to figure out what justice looked like when everyone involved had already lost so much. If you feel this story, please like, share, and subscribe right now. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss part 2. Where Amara makes her choice and we discover what really happened to her father. Like this video if you're as emotional as I am about this story, and comment below telling me where you're watching from. I love hearing from you all. See you in the next one. Let me know where you are watching this from in the comments below. I read every single one.